Welcome to Legacy Lounge, the podcast where you'll discover how to lead with purpose and build a legacy that matters. So if you're ready to step into your full potential, show up authentically for yourself and others, and create a lasting impact on the world, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Hello and welcome back to this episode of the Legacy Lounge. I have a very special guest with me today. I am very pleased to welcome Liz Garcia to our episode today. We are going to be talking about all things scaling your business while also protecting your sanity. And today we're going to talk about something that every entrepreneur, but also every leader on their own faces throughout the craziness of Q4. How to lead through massive growth without burning out quickly and not losing yourself. So Liz, quick background from me before I let you do an introduction. I know you've got a high caliber background in both manufacturing and in retail. You just landed your first major PO for Storage Theory. Congratulations. And you're also a very classy, scrappy entrepreneur. From the design phase to how you engage about your products. So background on that, Liz, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, I am so excited to be here. And by the way, I love that intro. Classy and scrappy is like totally me. That's going to be my new description for myself.
Yes.
But yes, hello everybody. My name is Liz Garcia. I am owner and CEO of a company called Storage Theory, where we offer genius home organization products, mostly on Amazon, but we're also on Walmart.com and TikTok Shop. And I'm also co-founder of a fundraising company called GW Spice Co. My husband and I co-founded that a couple years ago, where we offer like dry salsa mixes, dry dip mixes, and taco seasoning, but specifically to help student-driven organizations raise money for their organization. And beyond that, I'm also a podcast host of The Liz Garcia Show. But beyond that, I am a bold, fiery redhead. I've got two redheaded kiddos, ages 4 and almost 8. And I've been living in Iowa for the last several years. I grew up in the Midwest. I'm from Wisconsin originally. Go Badgers. And I've been in Iowa for several years ever since. So that's like the quick synopsis of me. But I'm a creative at heart. My background when I went to college is graphic design, which we'll probably get into a little bit later, how that's truly helped just expand my business and mindset. So there's a little bit about me, Liz Garcia.
I love it, Liz. And in the show notes at the bottom, you will find all of Liz's contact information as well as sites to shop her stuff. And as a consumer and a supporter of her, everyone needs this stuff in their home. And it's not more stuff. It is the pleasures of life that make it easy and enjoyable to do things that we might not enjoy, such as washing the dishes. You've all heard of Scrub Daddy. We'll get into that. But the way that she has created a company to support organization as a convenience in your life is unbelievable. I have multiple products throughout our home. Everyone in my family is getting something from you in their stocking. So if you're listening to this before Christmas, mom, dad, sisters, you guys are welcome.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. And one last plug here too, because I don't get to do this very often. I attended BU Brand Live conference with you live a couple weeks ago and got to listen to you on your first ever keynote delivery, which was phenomenal. And it also really pulled my heartstrings and got me teary-eyed when you gave a moment for the Midwest love. And for those that do not know, if you've ever been at a conference, speakers are really good about saying like, let's show some East Coast love. Where's my West Coast love? And we kind of forget about the Midwest. And as a homegrown girl from Indiana who is a transplant out to California, I was going nuts because I never get to represent that my home roots are from Indiana. And I appreciate you giving Iowa a moment to celebrate the Midwest love. So just kudos to you on staying true to yourself. And even if there's 2 people in the room screaming, it is 2 that are really freaking proud. So thank you for being you.
Absolutely. I'm here to love and support everyone. that.
Yes.
Even if we're a flyover state.
Yes, exactly. You're missing out on all the good stuff if you don't stop in the middle.
Exactly.
So let's dive into this. So I want to kind of jump into a pretty recent breakthrough moment for you. I know you just had your first, let's call it like a retail breakthrough week. Tell us kind of what was going on, what that felt like, what that's led to. And I'm kind of looking here for our audience to be able to pick up on your inner confidence shifting through the breakthrough and rebuild kind of while it happened, and what you did to compensate for that. So the power of time blocking or anything that you changed with your schedule, and how you repositioned momentum into building the bounce back of working through some just retail learnings at their finest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, time blocking has truly been one of the biggest catapults for my shift, like my mental shift, like my confidence. And so to kind of give some of the audience like a little bit of context with this company. So my husband and I purchased Storage Theory from an engineer. So kind of background, I love sharing stories of companies, and we've got a really, really fun, unique story where the guy we bought the company from, not only was he an engineer in Iowa, but he literally invented these products as solutions for his family. Like, I just think that is so freaking cool. You know, it's like business 101, find a problem or, find a problem and then make the solution.
Yeah.
So anyways, but I love the story there. And so our background is we purchased this company from the engineer. It was July 1st of 2024. So just a little bit over a year ago, we purchased it. And I will say, so I ended up quitting corporate a month later. There's a little bit of a caveat to that we'll talk about later. But what I found myself doing is I was so busy with like fulfilling our Amazon orders. Now, this is kind of important to mention too. Amazon fulfills about 90% of our orders. And then I fulfill about the other 5 to 10% just because Amazon charges you warehousing fees, things like that. And there's just some products that don't sell through that it doesn't make sense for Amazon to handle. So what I found myself doing though, it was like the first year, obviously it was learning the ropes. It was like getting used to my new workflow, not having a corporate job. And it's like, it's funny. It's that interesting dynamic where it's like, you feel like you're going to have so much more free time on your plate, but that's not the reality. Like you feel like you're even busier than before. But I found myself always just like keeping myself buried in the busy work.
Yes.
And not focusing on the needle moving activities to get us another stream of revenue. Because like at the end of the day, like a lot of our Amazon revenue right now is truly going towards us buying out the company. So we are profitable, but we're literally reinvesting every dollar back into the business right now. So it really wasn't until probably 6 months ago where we're like, okay, we really have to bring in a new stream of revenue for our company to just make this work long term and to have a solid foundation, right, for longevity of the company. And so it's like, okay, we really need to start focusing more into retail. But it truly wasn't until I would say 3-ish months ago, if not even less than that, where I'm like, okay, I have to change my schedule around and focus on the priorities first. And then I can always squeeze in the other, if you want to call them minute tasks later. It's kind of like, there's that, I can't remember who it is, but it's like a saying where if you have like a bucket, right? And you fill it with the like small stuff first, like sand and like it's that. Yep. Yeah, it's that visual. Like you're never going to be able to fit everything into it that you want, like the big important things. So you have to like flip the script a little bit. And Brin'na, I have to give you a shout out for this. So everybody listening and you guys. So Brin'na and I, of course, caught up at BU Brand Live in Vegas in September. And I happened to peek over. This was like right before, I think it was in the morning before the first speaker was going to be on stage. And I saw her like catching up on her laptop. And I saw her calendar, you guys, and there was a block for every single minute of her day. Not like literally minute by minute, but, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't been time blocking in a while. Like it was truly kind of an aha moment that it was like, you have to take radical responsibility for yourself every now and then, because you like
Yeah.
get in bad habits without realizing it. And that was one of those moments for me. And so truly, like right after BU Brand Live, like I started time blocking again in my Outlook calendar. And so long story short, to answer your initial question here, Brin'na, is I am now focusing on, again, those needle moving activities first, where maybe I'll print out some shipping labels for the Amazon orders, but I am dedicating, X amount of hours towards proactive outreach for these retailers now that it's like that is our main focus. We just got into Hy-Vee, which is a major grocery retail chain in the Midwest, and our big goal is to get into Target either by Q4 is probably pushing it a little bit, but it's like, throw it out there in the universe and see what comes.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I truly in the next 6 to 12 months, we'd love to get into a big box like Target, the Container Store, whatever it may be.
There's so much goodness in this. So first of all, with the aspiration of growth into retail, like I said, we will drop Liz's contact information in the show notes, but there was a post you did about your first end cap and setting it up and putting your product out on it and like watching a consumer get it and go buy. That has to I have goosebumps thinking about how that feels for you from a ROI celebratory, oh my gosh, this has been so worth it standpoint. And I think the sky is the limit. And we do have a lot of target audience leaders listening to this show here. So if anybody knows a buyer and or the planogram team over chemicals department, hook me up, let me know, and I will connect you with Liz. But I think on the flip side, back to the time blocking, one, I am so glad that you caught that moment on my screen, which, yes, my calendar is very chaotic. But with that, I think a lot of that training of the lessons learned of, okay, I'm spinning my wheels, but I'm not actually moving the needle for profitability. I'm not moving the needle for network outreach opportunities. That is something in my Target career that I did learn the hard way as a district senior director. And so that skill set is unique to the experience that I had in corporate that translated over. Now, there's a whole lot of other gaps that I have learned the hard way from shifting in a corporate structured space into an entrepreneur where I am my boss. I am my own follow-up. I am my own feedback. But I think about the needle moving side, and it's so easy as an entrepreneur to look at social media and see all of these things we think we need to do and say, and the frequency that we post. And yes, there's beauty in that from awareness and reach standpoint. But what has, at least from my observation of you since 3 weeks ago at BU Brand, is you have been sharing the behind the scenes of your actions, aligning with the power blocking to do the needle moving movements. And I'm hoping we can share this, but you are emceeing an event here soon that's a pretty freaking big one. And I just think that to tie this section together here is that single choice of saying, okay, I know I'm spinning my wheels. I don't know what to do differently, but I need to do all the things, and making a decision to power block time frames for yourself. It's almost like a game. Like, okay, I know I need to get this done, but I'm only giving myself 45 minutes to do it. So I have to focus and I have to do it. But seeing the behind the scenes through your socials and going home is that you said, I want to work on network outreach, found an opportunity where you could go into a room that's the right audience, that is like a superpower role of yours to MC. I mean, you should do like the Emmys one day, or the Grammys, or the CMAs. Like it would be phenomenal as an MC also. But I think like that's really powerful, because that was one choice that you made to pivot. And why don't you share kind of what has unfolded since then with this future opportunity that's coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I cannot speak highly enough about the importance of planting seeds. And I don't just mean like new interactions that you have with people networking per se, but just the behind the scenes, like like you're just putting your head to the pavement and just putting in the hard work, and how it will eventually pay off. And so how I landed this opportunity, you guys, was, so I'm, like I mentioned, I'm a podcast host, and I started hosting live podcast recordings about a year and a half ago. And so I've hosted 4 of them now. My last one was just in August, so just a couple months ago. And I honestly, like, it's funny. It's like a unique experience being behind the mic, because you're like, you feel like you're talking to the void every now and then. You're like, I don't know who's listening. I feel like I'm talking to myself. And so even at the live event, so I recorded an episode with 2 amazing local, I call them local celebrities, but they're radio hosts in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Very entertaining. I was so pumped to have them on. We had a great episode, and I released the episode and stuff. Well, here, I get a phone call. This is maybe only 3-4 weeks ago. And I get a call from somebody saying they're from the American Heart Association in Iowa. And he said, you were referred to somebody as being a potential candidate who would be great at emceeing our upcoming Go Red for Women luncheon. Mind you, there are going to be 500 to 650 people here, because I've never attended one before. And I'm like, out of curiosity, I was like, if you don't mind me asking, who referred me? And he's like, oh, somebody who attended your live podcast recording a few weeks ago. And I'm like, stop it. I'm like, that's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Because I'll be honest, like, between my husband and I, we have very opposite personalities. Like, he's very much behind the scenes, very logical when he makes decisions. I'm very, like, much, I go with my gut, like, intuitive. And so it's like, I feel like the last year to year and a half, I've been putting in the work. I've been doing the, putting in the reps and like hosting these events. And it's like, I knew deep down it would eventually pay off. But the downfall is I can't always prove the ROI right away. And my husband loves some ROI. He is a numbers guy. And so I'm sharing this because it's like, that's where we clash a little bit. But it was one of those moments I'm like, yes, like I've got ROI on this. You know what I mean? And so it's like, there's that, and I actually shared this when I was on stage. Brin'na knows this. I had an amazing visual of, it's like a meme, right? And it's 2 guys that are trying to dig for, it technically it was like diamonds, but dig for gold, right? And one of them built this tunnel, like really, really long, but he was literally inches away from hitting the gold. And it's a picture of him starting to walk away because he gave up. And then the guy above him is just starting to dig this tunnel. And you can see that if he keeps going, he will hit the diamond. So I guess the moral of this story is truly there are so many seasons where we feel like we are just doing all the right things. We're saying the right things. We're meeting the right people. But yet we just haven't had the breakthrough that we want. So my message for you is truly just to keep going, because you could be inches away from having that breakthrough. So it was like, getting that phone call 3 to 4 weeks ago was amazing. Like, I was honored that they even considered me for something like this. Like, I'm so excited for it. Like, I have the confidence. I know I'm going to do well. Like, I know it's going to be fun and entertaining. But it's like, it's also taken me the last couple years to like gain that confidence. So it's like right place, right time. I'm ready to go. And it's like, I have a couple other speaking opportunities that have come up since then. So it's like, you know that saying, an overnight success, 10 years in the making? Yes. That is kind of how I'm feeling right now, Brin'na. Yes. I'm not saying like I'm an overnight success by any means.
That is what we're witnessing. It is so cool. But there is so, to your point, the digging and being close to the diamond. And if you are listening to this episode, it is also available on YouTube. And I will drop in the image of that because it was very powerful, aligning with your talk from BU Brand Live. But it is also a standalone, powerful metaphor for you never know how close you are. But the purpose is to never give up. You might fall, you might get scraped and bruised and hurt, but you get back up and you still keep going. And you're in it right now. And it is so exciting as an outsider to watch you grow through this and even decide, this is how I want to show up on this stage. This is how I want to show up on this stage. There's so much that goes in behind the scenes, from the message that you want to land to how you're presenting yourself, how you're preserving your energy leading up to something, how you're recovering your energy after an event, all while still being a great friend, a great daughter, a great wife, a great mom, and a phenomenal business owner without dropping any of the balls. It's a lot to balance.
Don't get me wrong, I drop the balls every now and then.
What do you learn?
I will say, Brin'na, there's one really important point about this topic, though, is if you are in a season where you feel like you're not able to have the opportunities, like, right? Like I'm in Iowa, and so I do tend to travel outside of state because there really truly aren't as many opportunities here in the Midwest, or there aren't as many rooms as there are in like a Phoenix, Arizona. So the biggest message here is if you aren't able to have those opportunities come to you, like make your own opportunity. Just like they say, like create what you wish existed. And that was exactly what I did with these live podcast recording events. Is I just wanted to host something for people to get together, have some inspiration, some fun, learn something, and to network. And so again, like if those doors aren't coming to you right now, create your own door.
Yes, go make the value that you want to get back out of the conversations or the rooms or the places that you're at. Go create it if it doesn't exist, because it'll pay it forward tenfold. Amazing. Mm-hmm. So I know you mentioned this a couple minutes ago, but your prior corporate background and transitioning into entrepreneurship, I would just like your perspective on leadership under pressure, if you will. And you can share some context of your past in corporate, why that led to adventuring into entrepreneurship, but also highlighting leadership under pressure and what that means current day for you.
Yeah, I mean, leadership under pressure, I deal really well under pressure. I've typically found that the busier I am, the more that's on my plate, the more I tend to get done, which again is ironic because it's like when I quit corporate last August, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have all this free time. And I consider myself a very disciplined individual, but boy, is it super easy, especially if you love being on social media. Just check your phone, just do another quick post or a story. And then all of a sudden it's like an hour flew by and I'm like, oh crap, I got to rein it in a little bit. So like, again, I've had to like take some radical responsibility every now and then. And this is kind of a side note, but, and I haven't announced this publicly yet. This is the very first time. As of this week, I went back part-time freelancing for one of my former corporate employers. Now, the reason why the business is doing very well, I always caveat with that, but we're in a season of reinvesting every dollar back into the business. So when we talk about like being like pressured leadership, that was a big decision that I had to make very, very recently. Because it was like a couple months ago, we've been very tight. Like when I say we're reinvesting every dollar, like that is legitimate. And it's like, you don't understand the feeling of that till you're in it. And it's, again, it's just, it has put us in a position where we didn't have a decision. Like we didn't have any other choice. Like I had to find some sort of way to supplement our income. But at the end of the day, like that's our reality if we want this to be our dream life eventually, right? So it's like you mentioned I'm scrappy. I am scrappy as hell. And so it's like I'm going to do what I need to do right now in this season if we want long-term success for the company.
You know, I want to say real quick, because this is also very unique to, let me back up here. I think that there is a stigma around, I was ex-corporate and I left and I'm never going back. That's not it. And I think like this is such a very real conversation that needs to be had more often. And in the spirit of radical responsibility, yes, you worked in corporate for years. That was your reputation and how you established your livelihood. When you exited and went into entrepreneurship, the choice that we make in that moment is I'm choosing to go from a stable paycheck that is predictable, weekly, biweekly, monthly, depending on your pay cycle, potential revenue through a bonus or stock options or healthcare, all of that stuff. I'm making the choice to leave that stability and that comfort and that predictability in order to go build something myself. And I actually think that that is genius as a business owner for you to make the decision to go back in part-time while also sustaining the growth and scalability of your company. Because if you want to do this right and you want to grow this business that is scalable, it is repeatable, and it is revenue generating, you have to be able to show up as yourself, fully mentally, emotionally, and physically invested. When you are at the point that you are in reinvesting every dollar back into the company for scalability and growth, the most strategic thing you can do is give yourself balance from the pressure of income, stability, predictability, and committing to go back in part-time to something that gives you that alleviates the pressure that exists all day, every day in the company. And that's a very strategic decision on your part, regardless of how long you stay in that. The business that you have built is doing wonderful. But if you choose to only fight that battle and go uphill one at a time with the pressure of knowing if we don't make sales this week, we're going to struggle with the mortgage payment, alleviate that pressure, commit part-time. When you're at that job, you focus on that job. But when you're back out of it, you are so energetically full that you stay so sharp and you stay very disciplined and you continue to grow. And I think we're going to see this pay off in a very big way for you after a very short amount of time, because you're not saying, I'm going to do it all and I'm going to just power through it at the expense of myself. And I think that that is something that it is authentic to you as a leader of your family and your company, but also that's just smart business in my opinion. So kudos to you on that.
I mean, at the end of the day, Brin'na, like you can't excel from a place of lack. And like full disclosure, like we have been pretty dang stressed, like just from we've just been strapped, right? Because technically I gave up a 6-figure income leaving corporate because I had, it was both salary plus commission, and I gave up 6 figures. And it's like, it's forced us. I will say though, like when you are back in the corner, like with your back up against the wall, it forces you not only to get scrappy, but it really forces you to make realistic decisions based off of your needs versus your wants. And when we talk about radical responsibility, it has truly forced us to take a look at any of the bad spending habits that we've had and peel back the layers and reconsider, reevaluate what we need to do to make this happen. And so even though like we were stressed out to the max for the last several months, like we are seeing light at the end of the tunnel with me making this decision of going back to corporate. So it's like I truly felt a weight lifted off my shoulders, knowing that this is the right decision for us in this season that we're in. And it's not going to be long term. And, it's honestly kind of the best of both worlds for me right now, because I am now working with people I loved working with at my former employer. And I'm freelancing, getting to make up the hours that I want to. So I literally can work as many or as little hours as I want. Right now, I'm choosing to do about 20 hours a week. And it's so flexible. So like it truly is kind of the best of both worlds right now. No, I'm not going to be doing it long term. But again, you have to be making those radical responsibility decisions for what will, for in the foreseeable future be the best decision for you. And I will say the last thing I want to mention about this is when you go from like corporate girly to full-time entrepreneur, it's like hoorah, right? Like when you and I attend these events, it's like, yeah, we're going full-time. And it's like, it's amazing and exciting because it is such a big risk at the end of the day. But like you have to do what's best for you versus worrying about what other people are going to say or judge you, like, oh, well, she's not doing well because she has to go back to corporate. No, like you have to just ignore the naysayers and do what is best for you and your company, period.
Yes. My dad always said this to me as a kid, and I think I mentioned this in the chapter a little bit, but he always used to say, you worry about you, kiddo, you worry about you. And as a kid growing up, I correlated you worry about you through me worrying about everyone else means I'm worrying about me. And it's taken me years and a lot of error and painful growth to recognize that you worry about you is just that. It's what is best for you, for your business, for your family, for your well-being. When at the end of the day, you're in a room by yourself, surrounded by four walls. Do you like you or not? And
Yeah.
if not, do something different, because you are the one that's in the driver's seat. So you worry about you.
Yeah.
So I just love seeing this lived out.
Well, and I will say too, like Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx, you probably already know this story. But when she first created her company Spanx, she didn't tell a soul. She didn't tell any family members for the first year, because she didn't want to hear like the negative responses, like of fear, right? Like it's, oh, are you sure about that? You know what I mean? It's like people genuinely are saying stuff to try to like protect you as family and friends and whatever else. But it's like, that's kind of another thing too. It's like, maybe don't share everything with everybody in your life, knowing probably what their response could be in certain situations.
Yes. And your capacity, right? Of like what you know you can handle and what you just don't even want to mess with. It's okay to have those types of boundaries.
Yeah.
I love this. Well, as we kind of start to round out this interview, I've got a couple questions around advice for leaders and around the impact that we're making. So I'll start with any advice for leaders listening. What would you tell them? What would you tell them as a entrepreneur? What would you tell them as a corporate girl kicking butt? You know, the breakthroughs and the breakdowns happen in that messy middle that are really important to slow down and live in. So any advice for leaders, no matter where they are in their own journey?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. Number one, I would say my biggest regret with full-time entrepreneurship is I didn't hire out soon enough. So I didn't hire out the tasks, the mundane tasks that I could easily have hired out. So right now we do have two high schoolers. They're a brother and sister. They're actually our neighbors. And so they work for us part-time. They come in like a few hours a week just to even help with literally, so behind me, I've got boxes, right? And so I literally have them creating boxes, like folding them, putting the tape on the box, just to remove some of that from my plate. Because especially now that I am working part-time corporate, I'm like, I'd rather be paid X amount per hour and then pay them $15 an hour to like catch me up on stuff. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
I would say like one piece of advice would be to try to hire out the mundane tasks that are maybe taking you not only out of your zone of genius, but also taking you out of getting you closer to that needle moving type of activity. A second thing I would say is to just start and just to try something. And what I mean by that is there are so many different decisions in our life that will come up. There's many different, maybe it's a draw the line in the sand moment and you've got like a big pivotal decision to make. My one question that you can ask yourself when you have these decisions is, will I regret not trying it? Because if the answer is yes, then I think you've got your decision. And I will say that has been the question that I've asked myself the entire last year that we've taken over this company. And especially when we were in negotiations, just so kind of the background story, my husband saw that this company was for sale. It was posted online. And that was the exact conversation that him and I had. Will we regret not at least going for it? Because you know what? If we fall flat on our face and fail, quote, fail, I truly feel that every failure is actually a learning opportunity. At least we freaking tried, Yeah. Rather than you waiting your entire life worrying about what other people are going to say or think or do. And then all of a sudden, your entire life has gone by and you haven't even attempted doing the things that light you up.
Yes. Oh, this is so good. And this ties into my next question, which is, it's a big question, but this is not set in stone for life. I do think that a part of your leadership just came through in that. Don't wait if you think you're going to regret it later. Go try. And so I got to ask everybody on the show, what do you want your legacy to be? And I don't want the answer to be my legacy as Liz, CEO, entrepreneur of this business. I want it to be for you as a leader of your life, a leader of yourself, a leader of your family, a leader in business, but most importantly, a leader in life? What do you want your legacy to be?
Positive impact. Positive impact
Girl, you are
on the
right
world.
on track.
Yes. Yeah, I truly feel that I'm here to be an inspiration for other people, to just chase whatever you want to do. Oh my God, I'm getting like a little teary-eyed right now. Whew, was not expecting this.
This is good. Where's it coming from? What is that feeling? What is surfacing in your mind?
Man, I've doubted myself for so long of what I was capable of. And like having this conversation, it's kind of a full circle moment where like reflecting back on how far you've come. I am such a big believer on reflection. I actually talked about this on stage at Be Brand Live. And I think it's a great tool to utilize just specifically quarterly, if monthly. Literally writing down, I've got a binder here, and I'll jot down like any big milestones or any big just accomplishments that I've had in the past month. And anytime you sit down to reflect like that, I guarantee you will be shocked at how much you've actually accomplished. And it's like literally looking back on the year and a half ago, Liz, before we even bought this company, like I am just astounded at how much we've learned, how much we've grown, not only just as a company, but like my husband and I have had to learn a lot, and I've gained so much wisdom over the years. We didn't really get into this at the beginning of the episode, but it is important to my story is, one thing that catapulted me into entrepreneurship is back in June of 2021, my husband was diagnosed with stage 1 testicular cancer while we were 7 months pregnant with our son, Luca. So as you can imagine, that was quite a wild season. A lot going on in our life, a lot of unknown, a lot of uncertainty. And fast forward a few months later, it was February 2022. My husband was officially in remission at that point. He still is in remission today, which is amazing. But it was like going through that season, holy shit, did it light a fire under our butt that life is seriously too damn short not to be chasing after the things that light you up. It really woke us up. And we always knew we wanted to be entrepreneurs. We just didn't know what that looked like yet. And so that was like the rocket ship to like light that fire and like get us up and moving. And so it was truly only about 2 months later after my husband's remission news, I launched my podcast. We co-founded GW Spice Co. And then fast forward a few years later, we purchased Storage Theory. So it's, it's kind of like let your mess become your message. That's kind of what I've done along the way, and let it be the fuel to just push you forward in life.
This is so powerful, Liz. And honestly, when we release this episode, if you're listening right now and or you are capturing, the clip on socials, I would encourage everyone, if you know Liz, if you have listened to her talk, if you follow her account, if you're a friend or a family member, comment on this, the positive impact that she's made for you, the positive impact that she's made in your life, the positive impact in how she has allowed you to maybe change how you see yourself. Because as a spectator who has known you at basically a year, this is like our year anniversary month.
It is.
I am tapped into acutely aware of leadership, and I've been able to see you grow and challenge yourself and be vulnerable and share the messy middle, but also turn that mess into your message, like you just said. And you will always have a fan in me, and positive impact is crystal clear, and it's a stamp and it's like confetti left everywhere that you go. So just know that there's a whole lot of support rooting for you and behind you. And I would love for our listeners and the audience and socials to all drop in there just so you can start to see for yourself that reflection moment of just what a positive impact you're making in the world, in business, and in the lives of others. It's super cool. So before we close this episode, why don't you share how can the audience connect with you other than the links at the end of the episode. So maybe entering your community, if there's anything that we can support you with, where to find you, all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, like I typically hang out on Instagram. So Instagram is at lizgarcia.me. And then for Storage Theory, it's at Storage Theory. I will say we are always looking for product testers. You guys, this is amazing. I wish I had this when I was in college. So typically what we do is we offer free product to anybody who wants to just have a genuine, honest review on either Instagram or TikTok. So seriously, like shoot me a DM. I would be more than happy to send you free product if you want to just test it out, put it up on the socials. And I will say, so I didn't mention this earlier, but my husband and I have recently started getting into coaching as well too for typically product-based companies who are on Amazon or who want to be on Amazon. And so we're at the point where we've learned so much this last year where we want to share that information to truly help other product-based companies grow and scale to 6 and 7 figures as well. So if anybody is just looking to have questions, I offer free 30-minute clarity calls for that. But yeah, that's really the main overview of where you can find us. So, and we are on TikTok shop. So like I said, Amazon.com/storage theory is a specific link. I do say if you know anybody that has products on Amazon, just like leaving a review on podcasts, reviews on Amazon are like gold for product-based companies. So if you love a product that you buy on there, please take the 2 minutes just to leave a review. It truly helps boost people's visibility. So that's my other little plug.
Well, you can check the show notes for all links. And to my 2 younger sisters who are both in college, I think you might be up and coming Storage Theory testers. And I can't wait to see your reviews and for you to share it with your friends.
Yes.
This was amazing, Liz. Thank you so much. I'm excited to have you back in the future on the podcast to continue to share what's going on in the world for you and to continue to highlight and amplify the positive impact that you are making in the lives of everyone that gets to come in your orbit. It is such a gift, and I appreciate the transparency and the vulnerability. Keep leading authentically, and just thank you for sharing the time with me today. Any closing thoughts before I wrap us up?
Well, thank you for having me. This has been amazing, Brin'na, and I have received every single word of that. So yeah, if anybody has questions, reach out, but seriously, just start today. Just start and keep going, and don't give up.
I love it. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Legacy Lounge. Catch you next week. That's it for this episode of Legacy Lounge, a podcast dedicated to empowering you to lead with purpose. Remember, leadership begins with you. When you're connected to your values, strengths, and authentic self, you show up powerfully for your team, businesses, and everyone you lead. To authentically lead others, you must first lead yourself. I challenge you to consider, how are you investing in your personal growth to create a legacy that you envision? Thank you for joining me in the Legacy Lounge. If this episode sparked any thoughts or inspired action, I'd love to hear from you. I'm your host, Brin'na Rollins-Williams. Connect with me on LinkedIn or other socials, and let's continue the conversation. Remember, your legacy is built one intentional step at a time.